Hey guys, Mr. Lloyd here. I'm going to work with you today on video 2 for May 5th. This video is going to cover this page that you see on the screen. It says 8-3 class activity, and we're talking about leveling out and fair shares. And on this page here, we're going to be doing a little bit of calculating the mean of some data, as well as some working with this leveling out concept. And you'll see the leveling out concept. If you're a sibling, especially if you're an older sibling, you know all about this, about making sure that everyone gets a fair number of M&Ms or candies or whatever. So this should be pretty familiar. For this very first problem, they've just got little cubes drawn. And so we've got a left group, a middle group, and a right group. And they ask us to do a little bit of leveling out. I drew my arrows here to show what the problem asked us to do. And then we have to ask ourselves, after we follow these rules, did this represent fair shares? Was everything equal at the end? So let's take a look. Suppose two cubes are moved from the left group. So there are my two arrows from the left group. And then move to the center group. So there you go. And then similarly, two cubes from the right group are moved to the center as well. So there's my 4 arrows. And then my job is to think about, well, how many would be in the left group, how many would be in the middle, and how many would be in the right. So I just wrote it down. The left would have 4. The middle would have 5 at this point, and the right would have 3. So of course, we know that 4 does not equal 5, and 5 does not equal 3, and 4 does not equal 3. So the groups aren't equal at all. But you kind of maybe can imagine there's a pretty easy way to solve this. If we gave 1 from the middle to the right, that would be a way to level everything out. But if you follow the rules just as it asked you to, and you answer the question just as it asked you to, you should be able to say groups won't be equal, and there are your numbers right there. Okay, so that's problem 1. And then problem 2 down here actually asks us to take the original setup here and tell us the steps we need to take to level everything out. And it's important that we use a good math vocabulary, so we're using the words add and subtract. Okay, and so we do this. The first step is really similar to what problem 1 gave us. We subtract 2 cubes from the left, and we add 2 cubes to the center. So that's what that. Subtract them and move them and add them to the center group. We subtract 1 cube from the right. Here's my 1 cube from the right. And I add that 1 cube to the center. Okay. And then we have, in the left we have 4, in the right group we have, left group we have 4, center group we have 4, and right group we have 4. So all groups are equal. And that's what we want to be able to do. And like I said earlier, if you're a sibling, if you are ever kind of sharing something with cousins or classmates or something like that, we always kind of have a tendency, we really want things to be fair and equal. And so we divide up our chocolate chips or our Jolly Ranchers, and we make sure that everyone has the same number of pieces. Otherwise, we get our feelings hurt. It doesn't feel right. So that leveling out process, pretty straightforward, just asking you to think it through. How do I add? How do I subtract to make things equal? Okay. Coming down to the bottom of the page is where we get to calculating the mean. To calculate the mean, we're going to use this data set here that gives us quiz scores, gives us some students' names and their score right next to it. And this is out of 10, just in case you're wondering. So Blaze got 6 out of 10 right, Danny got 7 out of 10 right, and so on. Okay. The problem 3 asks, what is the quotient when the sum of the scores is divided? So I went ahead and just wrote this just to help you understand. The sum here, of course, when we say the word sum, it's a good math vocabulary word. What we're talking about is adding everything together. So we just add all these numbers together, and you get a total of 56. And there were 8 students here, or 8 total scores. And so the quotient should tell you that you're dividing. Well, and in fact, it says the word dividing, so I spoke too soon. We're going to take the sum and divide it by the total number to find the mean, and it is 7. And so 7 is the answer to that question, and then problem 4 asks you, what's the mean of the data? Well, it turns out we just calculated it. The mean is 7. And all I do here is I just explain, using English language, I just explain how I arrived at this score. So the mean is calculated by adding all the scores and dividing by the total number of scores. And that, I'm going to zoom out just a bit there so you can see my handwriting there. That is how we calculate mean. And it's something that you've seen in 5th grade. We'll continue to practice calculating mean over the next, really for the remainder of this unit, probably, to be honest, probably for the end of, throughout the end of the school year. You'll see it a lot more in 7th grade, and you'll continue to use calculating the mean in a number of different areas. We use it as teachers all the time to look at grades and test scores and all kinds of things. So this is a very, very important skill, and again, it's just a two-step process. Add up the total, add up the total data, divide by the number of pieces of data that you have, and there's your mean. So straightforward enough. We'll continue to practice this, and we'll get ourselves really well squared away. That's all the time I'm going to have for this video. I'll be posting the 3rd video for today in just a moment. Please continue to ask questions through Zoom, through YouTube comments, through Google Classroom comments, text message, remind, email, phone call, a lot of different ways to get in touch, but please keep those questions coming. Let me know how you're doing. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.